Thank you very much for making time again on the marketplace for today. To start it all, the Deputy Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, Paul Abebiu, has stated that the Commission's approach to reforming the sector will yield the desired results. He was speaking of the business edition of PM Express with Philip Tamfuri. The Deputy Director General of the SEC believes the reforms, together with the Capital Market Master Plan, will put the industry on a positive growth trajectory.
Of our carrots and sticks approach, because while we're doing some of these changes, we're also in the process of drafting a capital markets master plan, which will lay out the broad strokes of our expected development over the next 10 years and how various players can fit into it. And part of it really is creating avenues for proper fund management, for proper governance, and for such firms that have good structures in place to succeed. Putting in place the right tax frameworks to ensure that industries like private equity can pick up, to ensure that pension funds that are growing now are also managed prudently. And as they go international, the question becomes that why can't we have a fund manager based in Ghana operating across West Africa, right? So there's potential. There's potential for the industry, and we think that there's a need to have, one, a strong regulatory environment, but also an enabling macroeconomic environment as well, so that there's no crowding out again. So that intermediation role that fundraisers are supposed to play, we expect them to step up.
And on his part, President of the Ghana Securities Association, the umbrella body for the various operators in the industry, Emmanuel Esiedu, believes greater collaboration and a focus on operating ethically will help deal with the industry's challenges.
Growing economy, whether we like it or not, for all our complaints, people are getting wealthier, although maybe not at the pace that we expect. So people are going to increasingly have pots of funds that they want to put away. That's the first thing. Second thing is that this new regulator has shown some capabilities. They're ready to enforce, they're ready to help us clean up. What I think will help us get to where we want to get to is what I call the 3 E's and the C. One, education. We need to educate ourselves as an industry, with then industry players. We need to educate the market, potential investors and current investors, that this is what you're getting into. We need to help them, empower them to ask questions. Education helps. And then we need more collaboration between financial sector regulators, the insurance regulator, the central bank, the SEC. I mean, if a bank has failed and that bank has an investment arm, does the banking regulator know that probably the size of the investment wing is bigger than, the asset base is bigger than the bank, than its bank? We need more collaboration so that nothing slips under the radar. Then we need a keener ethical bent, especially amongst ourselves as industry players. We need to start putting others before ourselves.
The Bank of Ghana's recent sector reforms has seen collapse of some banks, while others have gone into mergers. Customers and depositors have been at the receiving end of such measures, resulting in fear and dipped public confidence in the financial sector. Managers of Universal Microfinance, however, say it is unfair. Many people are defaulting payment of loans to distressed banks. Chief Executive Officer Kwadwo Amofa-Fofi says the fortunes of such banks could change for the better if debtors are more responsible. He spoke to Love Business at the opening of Universal Microfinance branch at Swami in Kumasi. Prince Apia reports.
In the face of what has become a challenging time for the banking sector, Universal Microfinance has entered the Kumasi market. It is the bank's fourth, having operated for over 7 years in Accra. Chief Executive Officer Kwadwo Amofa-Fofi says the bank employs a financial model geared at reducing non-performing loans.
In fact, we have met the minimum paid-up capital that Bank of Ghana expects every microfinance to have. And that has made a lot of funds available in Universal Microfinance. And so our coming to Kumasi, our focus was not on deposit taking, but our focus was on loans. And it's because we have had enough funds that we think we need to get a lot of people to disburse the money to. And so if you are coming to Kumasi, the people in Kumasi Kumasi are not comfortable depositing their money with institutions. But since our focus is in giving our loans, we thought that there was no challenge for us at all. And therefore, we give you the loan, and if upon doing business with us, you realize that you have to deposit your money with us, we take it. And why we are able to do that is that we ensure that the loan portfolio becomes so quality that loans are paid on schedule, and so we don't really have non-performing loans.
Collapse of many microfinance institutions due to locked up deposits created fear among the informal sector especially. Most financial institutions are therefore struggling with deposits. Mr. Mufafufi, however, says Universal Microfinance is focusing more on granting loans to counter the situation.
Everybody will agree with me that it is a very challenging moment when a lot of institutions have collapsed in Kumasi, and the whole atmosphere is not too favorable for microfinance institutions. The fact is that Universal Microfinance has already, for a time, maintained a kind of model and practices that have stood the test of time. We've always made sure that we work to assure our people than to work to threaten them.
Meanwhile, board and management of the bank embraces Bank of Ghana's banking sector reforms. Prince Apia reporting.
The Bank of Ghana has announced for the information of the general public the fees, charges and costs of banking products and services here in the country. The bank's latest report highlights in detailed form what individuals and corporate entities must pay on certain products and services the banks offer. On the marketplace yesterday, we took a look at the initial deposit requirement and minimum operating balance. Philip Namfuri is here again to take us through the rest of the report. All right, so Philip, what's up?
Emmanuel, thank you very much. So yesterday we looked at the initial deposits and we looked at the minimum operating balance. Today we have lending fees as part of the domestic products and services on the loan. And if you look at the lending fees, we have facility and insurance fees, we have commitment fees, processing and arrangement fees. Now it's good to note that banks make money from two main sources, interest income and non-interest income. And with an interest income, that's where the fees and commission comes to play. So it's not odd to see banks charging fees for their services they provide. However, there's always the argument that they're not very fair. And we know CATS Ghana was here.
Exactly, I was going to come to that.
Exactly, to discuss some of the disadvantages of how they charge their fees. For example, why should you pay a fee for withdrawing money from your bank's own ATM? It seems a bit illogical, but we have some of the banks charging it.
But are ATM charges high here in the country? Would you say that?
Okay, so ATM charges are relative. It depends on three different factors, like I said yesterday. One, we have charges on issuing. Two, you have charges on withdrawals at ATMs, which is the bone of contention for CATS Ghana. And three, we have charges on replacement of your ATM, or maybe anytime you upgrade it or something, you are charged on it. So it differs. But if you look at the spread, you can say between 0 Ghana cedis and 40 Ghana cedis on the average for how much you are charged. But fees and commissions play an important role when it comes to banks' revenue. Okay. But then the key issue here is it being fair, or are they being fair when it comes to the amount? Because if you look at the international products and services, foreign exchange accounts, foreign currency accounts also attract some charges. When you are doing a letter of credit, LC, etc., all these come with different forms of charges. So it's very hard to say that ATM charges are high because every bank has a different charge. My bank, for example, charges me 15 Ghana cedis every month for my ATM charge. Now,
you remember when CATS International came around, he mentioned the fact that it is quite something like an illegality to charge customers of banks for these services. What's your take on that?
Okay, so I would not say yes, an illegality or no. All I would say is that it's up to Bank of Ghana to come out and let us know. And this is where, if you feel you have been charged wrongly by a bank, there are means of seeking redress. One, you can file a complaint within the bank. If it's not heard, then you go to the Bank of Ghana's Investigation and Consumer Reporting Office. That's ICRO or ICRO, as I call it. So Investigation and Consumer Reporting Office. But this throws into the fray the whole discussion about market conduct and whether there's a need for us to have an institution that oversees all the financial services players when it comes to the products they churn out. Because this is just for the banks. What about insurance? What about the capital markets? Each regulator has its complaints procedure. But don't you think right now with the interconnectedness in the financial services, we should have one person overseeing all of this? So these are some of the things that go into some of these products that the banks come out with. But for now, if you go to the Bank of Ghana's website, you find this report and you can go through it and you know what exactly your bank charges you. If there are any problems, Bank of Ghana has lines or email addresses you can communicate through.
Could there be a situation where an individual or a business entity can resort to court action for something done untoward done against him?
I would say that would be the last resort, because once you go through the bank's complaint system and you don't feel you have been sorted out, you go to the Bank of Ghana and you feel I've still not been sorted out, then I'm sure the court is your last. But you know that the wheels of justice grind very slowly, so that one too may take a longer time. So sometimes some of these things you have to really weigh the pros and cons of it before you proceed.
Anything else we need to know about the latest report?
Well, the report, like I said, looks at both domestic products and international products, from the ATMs to how much you pay for initial deposits, minimum operating balance, and particularly the charges you have on lending. Apart from the interest rates you pay, there are also charges. So it's up to all of us to go on the website of the Bank of Ghana, download this report and take a look at it. If you don't understand anything, you can get in touch with your bankers or the Bank of Ghana.
Many thanks for that update. Philip Namfuri is an in-house researcher bringing us up to speed with the latest Bank of Ghana report on new charges for commercial banks. Away from that, 4 more airlines are expected to join the domestic aviation industry by close of the year, bringing to a total of 7 domestic operators. Director General of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Simon Aloti, is therefore urging operators to collaborate to beat unfair competition.
Operators Africa World Airlines, Passion Airlines and Unity Airlines operate the domestic air transport market in Ghana. The 3 operators offer services from Accra to Kumasi, Takoradi and Tamale. Director General for the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Simon Alute, is however hinting of 4 more operators joining by the end of the year.
We're likely to get about 4 new operators coming on stream this year by the end of the current year. And the implication then is we have a very, very fierce competitive environment, which may also not augur well for the sustainable growth of Ghana's aviation industry. So
the entrance of 4 new airlines will bring the number of domestic operators to a total of 7. Mr. Alote has therefore urged operators to collaborate to avoid unfair competition.
When 2 airlines come together, they're able to put their resources, expertise at the disposal of the other. They're able to have improved connectivity because then they have a greater network. You take the domestic scene, for example, all the 3 operators, Unity Air, Passion Air, are just doing Accra Kumasi, Accra Tamale, and our edition does Accra Takoradi. And there are routes like Tamale-Wa, Tamale-Kumasi or Kumasi-Tamale, which are on tap. Nobody operates there. So it could be possible to create synergy by one airline deciding to operate, say, from Wa to Tamale, having a sort of agreement with the other domestic operators to take on passengers who they will drop at Tamale to Accra, or another operator could do Tamale Kumasi to provide that missing link in services.
For Joy Business, Sheila Tamaklu reporting.
Now, telecoms company Airtel Tigo is committing 1% of revenue from airtime sale into improvement of education infrastructure. Schools in Ashanti, Bono and Ahafo regions are potential beneficiaries of the scheme, for which the company targets to raise over 300,000 cedis in 3 months. Chief Executive Officer Mitwa Ngambi gave the hint in Kumasi as officials paid a courtesy call on the Asante as part of his 20th anniversary celebration. Nana Yaujima has more in this report.
Distressed basic schools which are being targeted will have to apply to access the fund. Mrs. Ngambi says the company is committed to improving education in the country.
Over the next 3 months, we as Airtel Tigo are committing 1% of all our airtime sales in this region that will go towards the development of education in this region. This fund will go towards renovating schools, purchasing furniture, purchasing uniforms, or whatever needs that these schools may have. All schools, public schools as well as members of the community, are encouraged over the next 3 months to write to us with an email address that will be soon communicated as to what are the needs that exist within these community schools. There shall be a cross-functional committee that will sit to evaluate the various needs, and in due course the schools selected to be participating in this program would then be announced. We are extremely excited for this initiative, and we expect that this education initiative would go extremely far in the development of the society. This is the first time that we are running an initiative of this sort, so in honor of the celebrations we thought only begin with the Ashanti, Bono and Ahafo regions. Depending on the success of this initiative, we expect that in years to come we would extend it to other regions of this country.
The company has donated 20,000 cedis to the Otumfuo Charity Foundation in support of its 20th anniversary celebration. Mrs. Ngambi again.
And the reason for our visit was to honor him in celebration of his 20th year anniversary as king. Apart from that, we also celebrate his 69th birthday next week, Monday. So we, on behalf of the board, management and staff of Airtel Tigo, came to wish him well and nothing but success for the future.
Nanaya Ojima reporting.
And so the Ashanti Region Graduate Students Association at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi have launched a research fund to augment existing funding sources. It seeks to address delayed thesis and bursary grants from government. Local president of the Graduate Students Association, Eugene Tony Paha, says it will enhance government's drive to translate research into businesses. The fund was launched with 50,000 Ghana cedis seed money. Prince Apia has more.
Students in tertiary institutions have often complained about delays in the disbursement of thesis and bursary grants. Sometimes, disbursement is done after students have finished with their research. Gasa KNUST want to see an end to such frustration. Eugene Tony Paha is president of Gasa KNUST.
Funding is always not sufficient in this country, So as a matter of fact, as leadership, we decided that from our own purse, we will try and add something small to a fund and try from corporate bodies. Currently, the government is supporting us with our government bursaries, which is not enough because most of our ideal students, our weekend students and part-time students don't have access to those funds. So as an association, it was necessary for us to get this fund running so that some of these students will also run good research programs, will also have the access to these funds to enable them to do quality research, which will not only benefit them, but the nation as a whole.
The launch is part of the week celebrations of the graduate school. The theme is harnessing student innovation and entrepreneurship skills through research and value-based education. John Kuma is Chief Executive of National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. He promises support to the fund, especially for students who are ready to commercialize their work.
If the research fund is just for the research, we should also look at how we can incorporate entrepreneurship to the research fund. It gives a lot of encouragement to those of you who have ideas and anything funding on entrepreneurship on your campus. To involve us properly, we will be willing to fund any brilliant, innovative ideas from your campus to the highest level.
KNUST targets to increase its graduate student population of 15% to 20% in the next 3 years to merit international university status. Here is Vice Chancellor Professor Obridanso.
We can train more graduate students. We started with 13% of our student population being graduate students. Now we are about 15.8. Our goal is that to become an international university, you need at least 20% of your student population being at the graduate level. And that's what we're working towards. And hopefully in the next 3 years, we'll achieve that as a university.
Meanwhile, the graduate school also commissioned the Graduate Research Commons that provides space for research students to do their work. Prince Apia reporting.
Meanwhile, scientists are calling for policy interventions to prevent high levels of fruits and vegetable losses in Ghanaian markets. Nutrition experts and collaborators say This is crucial for improving availability, access and consumption of fruits and vegetables, which could contribute to preventing overweight and obesity. The team of scientists attended the consultative workshop as part of researching the obesogenic food environment, a project being implemented in South Africa and Ghana. Kwesi Debra reports.
Researching obesogenic food environments is a 3-year joint study between Ghana and South Africa. The project, funded by the International Development Research Center, seeks to understand the changing nature of food marketed in poor communities in both countries. The first phase assessed food intake and decision-making. The second phase focused on value chain analysis of selected healthy and obesogenic foods. The third phase analyzed governance and political economy and identifies policy opportunities to improve the healthiness of the local food market. Preliminary findings suggest Ghana's food environment is flooded with foods that increase the risk of obesity and associated complications, including imported chicken, sugar-sweetened beverages, and biscuits. It also emerged that unhealthy foods are patronized by the youth, women, and the low-income earners. The workshop, which is part of the Phase 3 of the project, brought together stakeholders across academia, government, civil society organizations, developmental partners, and the media to deliberate potential policy levers available to improve the healthfulness of the local food environment. Researchers embarked on a learning journey, visiting Dako farms in Kumasi, food warehouses, vendors, and market centers. Dr. Reginald Ajiti Anand is a principal investigator of the Rofi Ghana team.
And so they're researching the obesogenic food environment Rofi project. We are interested in understanding the food systems, the food environment, and how they contribute to what people are eating. And so specifically, we have been looking at why people eat what they eat, what makes them choose, what makes them decide, what makes them go for something that is obesogenic or something that is not.
A Rofi team member, Dr. Charles Apre, suggested the need for cold storage facilities for fruits and vegetables as observed in other countries.
In the Bantama market, you can see that the idea is there, but they are afraid. The question is, what if you go into it and then doom stop and then you are almost running into thousands of losses? So it's about capital. Of course, when you build this and you have let's say, a UP, uninterrupted power supply plant sitting somewhere, then what it means that when there's that power outage from the main system, you're able to switch on to.
A participant, Professor Richmond Nayete, observes non-segmentation of the market has done little to encourage fresh food consumption. He advocates subsidies for fresh produce vendors to encourage consumption.
Sure that you then put in a mechanism that makes the fresh produce more appealing. One way of doing that is to find a way of giving subsidies to those who are selling the fresh produce.
Camille Mohammed of the Policy Analysis Unit of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture urges urban farmers to make fresh foods available for local consumption.
I think if you encourage people to go into the urban farming, i.e. rearing and intensive rearing of poultry or other ruminants and production for community consumption and home consumption.
President of Ghana Nutrition Association, Dr. Kingsley Preko, noted the country's food regulations have failed to match the changing food environment.
If you look at food regulation, yes, there are a lot of food regulation exercises that are going on, but you could see much focus on processed foods that are coming in the country and all that.
Reporter for JoyNews, Kwesi Debra.
And that will be it for the marketplace. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. We have many thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.